Can we just talk?
Metro FM Talk with Faith Mangope. Monday to Thursday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m.
17 minutes to go to 8 o'clock. Of course, we've got a very interesting 8 after 8 is after 8. But we also have very interesting conversations where we're talking to political party leaders as they present their manifestos, or at least points of their manifestos, things that they're saying that they want to do. I mean, some points are quite controversial. Some of them, a lot of you South Africans do agree with. And of course, we've just had Bongani Baloyi here, the leader of Chiluba. So now we are still sticking with the Constitution, aspects of the Constitution, calls for it to be amended. And this time it is the African Transformation Movement that is saying reintroduce the death penalty. Criminals in this country must be treated like dogs. Their human rights cannot be greater than the rights of ordinary citizens. Vuyolwethu Zungula is the man that is calling for this. He's the leader of ATM. Mr. Zungula, very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining Metro FM Talk. How are you?
Evening and greetings to everyone listening.
So you want to bring back the death penalty in a country that has not had the death penalty for 29 years because we believe, as per the Constitution, one of the greatest beliefs of it, if I can call it one of the greatest commandments of the Constitution, is you have your right to life. Any of you under this country have a right to life. But you're saying if you're going to commit crime, you've essentially, you don't have that right. You've forfeited that right.
Look, we as the ATM, we are saying that the Constitution is not greater than the will of the people. And when we speak about the issue of the death penalty, we like to remind people that even in 1995, after that court ruling, after the death penalty was abolished, reports and research will indicate that there was a public outcry precisely because the people were not in agreement with that court judgment and the abolishment of the death penalty, which therefore means the Constitution that we have in our country and the legal framework in our country, it is not a reflection of the will of the people. It is rather a reflection of people who purported to be drafting a legal framework on behalf of the people, but it is not entirely a reflection of the people, because if it was a reflection of the people, then people would not in 1995 be against the abolishment of the death penalty. That's the first thing. The second thing is that our argument is that we are having a case whereby 85 people are murdered on a daily basis in our country. It cannot be business as usual. And criminals are so brazen in killing people. We need, as a country, to say enough is enough and introduce very, very harsh punishment for heinous crimes, for repeat murders, so that we send a very strong message that this will not be tolerated. Because I want to, remind everyone listening that in 2019, 47 people were killed on a daily basis. Now, hardly 4 years later, we're speaking about 85 people that are being killed on a daily basis. It cannot be business as usual. And the death penalty, in our view, is there in our country. We currently have a death penalty because if 85 innocent people are killed on a daily basis, that is a death penalty. The only thing that we are saying must be introduced is a punishment for the people that do not respect the right to life of other people.
Now, before we get to the death penalty, why don't we strengthen our judiciary, our justice system? Why, if you're going to go arrest someone who is, a hardened criminal, who is, either a rapist or a murderer, a serial rapist or a serial murderer, why do you not, exact that kind of punishment before you get to the death penalty? Make, as you say, the criminals need to be scared of being criminals, but why can't it be before we get to take them out and kill them? And, why don't we make sure that the justice system is harsh enough on perpetrators before we kill them?
What we propose as the ATM is not a one solution, but we propose different solutions to deal with this complex problem of criminality in our country, which on one side it could be caused by the socio-economic conditions, it could be caused by a number of factors. However, of the view that when you're coming to deal with the criminality, there are methods to rehabilitate criminals, also methods or ways in which the justice system must be improved For an example, the issue of training and adequate training of police officers to make sure that they are able to investigate thoroughly so that their arrests do lead to actual convictions, not what we see now whereby 27,000 people were killed, but only less than 3,000 were actually convicted. People killed were actually convicted. However, we are also alive to the reality that there are hardened criminals who cannot be rehabilitated. Even if they go to prison, they kill other prisoners inside prison. They kill the wardens that are protecting them in prison. So in such cases, the state needs to remove permanently such people who are a danger to each and every person. There is quite a number of prisoners who killed prison wardens. The recent one in the Free State a few years ago, which clearly shows that once we protect these hardened criminals, we are not only putting in danger the lives of other criminals who are in prison with them, but also law-abiding prison wardens who are there to make sure that there is law and order. So our view, let's have a myriad of solutions, but to deal with the hardened criminals, let us introduce a death penalty to also send a very strong message, just like Malawi did it. Malawi had a problem of people that were killing people living with albinism for multi-purposes, because they wanted to strong a message that this will not be tolerated. After the death penalty was introduced for that particular crime, then the country saw a decrease in terms of killing of people living with albinism. But in our country, you find that there is new crimes that are coming up, extortions, kidnappings, the killings of traditional leaders, and high gender-based violence. But there's no adequate response from the government to say this will not be tolerated.
Do you agree with Mr. Vuyolwethu Zungula, the African Transformation Movement leader, who's saying, bring back the death penalty? You bring back the death penalty, you will see these hardened criminals not do what they do, these, heinous crimes of serial rape and murder, and, you will bring down the brazenness of the criminals here in South Africa, because you're getting criminals that think that they can broad daylight exchange fire with police. We're seeing a lot of that being dealt with quite strongly in KZN, but is it enough? So bring back the death penalty so as to strike, hopefully at least, the right kind of fear in a criminal, especially one who's already inside and is continuing to do what he's inside for. Do you agree with Mr. Vuyolwethu Zungula? Metro FM Talk SA on Facebook is where we want to get your comments. 060-552-7303 is where we want your voice notes as well. You can hit us up as well on a phone call, 06000 2160. Do you agree with what the African Transformation Movement is saying? Bring back the death penalty. 7 minutes to go to the top of 8 o'clock. After 8 is coming up. But of course, we are talking to the African Transformation Movement leader, that is Vuyolwethu Zungula, who is saying, bring back the death penalty. Let these criminals understand that they will not continue to terrorize our communities. We're seeing it happening in Botswana. They've got the death penalty and no one is complaining about criminals. I've got Tony on the line now. Tony, very good evening to you. Welcome to Metro FM Talk. Do you agree?
Yeah. Good evening, Mr. Buyo, and good evening to all the listeners. Look, I guess it's the best thing that can happen to South Africa today, because the crime rate is too high. It's way too high. You will hear somebody will tell you on the street that, look, I will kill you today, tomorrow I'm out on the street, I'm going to get bail, and then you're gone. Now, if the Constitution is telling us that a criminal has got legal rights, okay, you've killed someone, the person you killed, you've taken away its right, or our own right. So how come you have a right? You shouldn't have a right anymore. So basically, if once the death penalty comes back, I promise you South Africa will be the safest place on earth. Because all the criminals, they're going to know that if you kill someone, definitely you are going to be executed as well. So, it's not a train smash. Bring back the death penalty, and then we will get over crime in this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to you, Tony from Pretoria. He says, bring back the death penalty. A criminal kills somebody. Well, hey, you're going to get killed as well. Lesiba out in Soshanguve. We are staying, of course, in the capital city out there in Pretoria. Lesiba, very good evening to you. Welcome to Metro FM Talk. Bring back the death penalty, or listen, let's make sure that we fix our justice system. Where do you fall?
Well, I'm not sure how it's going to help because these criminals are not, they never get caught. I don't think that is the problem.
So basically what you're saying is, Lesiba, get your policing right, get your justice system right, get these criminals who are caught and convicted, they must be sentenced harshly before you run all the way to a death penalty.
Exactly.
But now, you get brazen criminals who, even though that you do threaten them with a death penalty, it still doesn't move them. So, why not just go ahead and use it and strike fear in a criminal's heart? It looks like we've lost Lesiba there out in Soshanguve. But let's see if we can try and get Sia out in Cape Town. Sia, very good evening to you. Welcome to Metro FM Talk. All right, Sia is not there. But Mr. Zungula, you've heard those two comments from Tony out in Pretoria and Lesiba out in Soshanguve, contrasting opinions. One saying that, hey, bring it back because this will be the safest country in the world. The other one saying that we don't see what the point of it is because firstly you need to catch these criminals before you execute them.
Yeah, that is why our submission was to say myriad of solutions, which includes improving the policing by increasing the number of police, training the police well, ensuring that there are actual convictions for the crimes, and then for the heinous crimes and repeat offenders, the appropriate punishment must be the death penalty. I want to make a clear example. In Soweto, there were 14 people that were killed in one sitting that were in a tavern somewhere. Now, in our view, that is the clearest indication of death penalty. Also, there is a couple of cases whereby young men actually killed their partners, chopped their bodies, stuffed them in bags, and then went to destroy them somewhere. Now, that is again a heinous crime in which we need to send a message as a country to say this will never be tolerated, because if you check, my brother, criminals also now coming from other countries, they're running to South Africa to commit crimes in South Africa because it seems that South Africa does not have the appetite of law enforcement. That is why Nigerian drug dealers who don't sell drugs in Nigeria to Nigerians come to South Africa, sell drugs to South Africans and kill the future of South Africans. When they are confronted by the police, they go get the other Nigerian drug dealers to attack a police station, in other words, attacking the state. That is precisely because it appears as if South Africa is a banana republic, as a country whereby it puts so much emphasis on the human rights of criminals and the human rights of people who break the law. That is why you find that the crime and criminality is increasing in our country. We're of the view then, as the ATM, to say, to put that to an end, let us have strong enforcement of law and order and have harsh punishment for people that do not have the respect of the right to life of other people.
I'm going to go to Sia in Cape Town. Of course, we are asking the question as per the suggestion from the ATM that bring back the death penalty. Sia in Cape Town, a very good evening to you. Welcome to Metro FM Talk.
Good morning, Moran. Good morning to the Metro FM listeners. I just want to comment also on that matter that we have.
Yeah.
I feel like criminals in our country, they feel like they have more power than the citizens, actually. Because there are crimes that I feel like they are unforgivable. Like the listener who just mentioned now, we have people who murder their partners and kill them and chop them, and all of those crimes. I don't think it's something that can be forgiven. The death penalty would be the solution in such cases. I know for sure it's not going to be easy because there are people who get accused with the crimes that they haven't committed, but we can make exceptions on such cases whereby they continuously kill people. Like we have prisoners who are in jail, they are serving lifetime or 10 times life or whatever thing. They know they have nothing to lose. That's why they go ahead and kill some other prisoners and kill the wardens. So I think people like that, they deserve to get a death penalty, unfortunately.
No, Sia, we hear your point, and thank you very much. That is Sia out in Cape Town. Let's come back to Gauteng. We're going to Mamelodi, of course. That is the home of a team that is running away with the DStv Premiership. Yes, I am still the sports guy. Mabuti out in Mamelodi. A very good evening to you. Welcome to Metro FM Talk. Mabuti, line ya how many na muteko tokonyana.
Oh, I'm disappointed.
There we go. I think we're catching you. Yes, Mabuti, bring back the death penalty or not? Yeah, no, it looks like Mabuti's line is a little terrible there. Hopefully he can call back and we can hear his thoughts. But Mr. Zungula, that is Sia in Cape Town saying, yes, here's an important point to not ignore, is that the death penalty could just, be used or be misused in a sense that innocent people wrongly accused of crime might fall into that trap. How do then we deal with that issue?
Our proposal is not to say the automatic sentence for a murder is the death penalty. We are saying that there are extenuating circumstances for heinous crimes and repeat offenders, meaning if a person is a serial rapist, then it has been proven beyond reasonable doubt that this person has committed quite a number of rapes. If a person has repeatedly killed people, then it has been proven that these people has killed 3 or 4 people. And then there's extenuating circumstances whereby everything has been proven beyond reasonable doubt. So that is the approach that we are moving towards to make sure that we counter this narrative that it could be used against innocent people by ensuring that the process that is followed is a process that gives assurance that it is beyond reasonable doubt, and there's an automatic application or review to the Supreme Court of Appeal to make sure that the High Court does take the initial decision, but the final decision must go to a higher court. So that is a higher court, which is the SCA in our view. So that is how we're going to counter that particular issue.
The ATM saying that bring back the death penalty, but it will definitely be structured enough so that it is not misused, that, the law does not go and start killing people that are accused of murders that they didn't do or accused of heinous crimes that they didn't do. That they're not just saying bring back the death penalty and let's, let it just run amok, essentially. No, there will be a structure, and we as the ATM, this is Mr. Vuyolwethu Zungula saying that we as the ATM, this is a system that if you were to put us in power on the 29th of May, this is something we feel would go a long way to ensuring that South Africa is not considered the capital of all sorts of crimes, be it rape, murder, and the likes. Mr. Vuyolwethu Zungula, I'm going to thank you very much. Thank you so much for joining us here on Metro FM Talk. Vuyolwethu Zungula, the leader of African Transformation Movement.
Can we just talk?
Metro FM Talk with Faith Mangope. Monday to Thursday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m.